So
That's good.
I think what I can do is I can do something like this, where now everybody should see a whiteboard, and so I could draw a picture if anyone needed a picture. So I could say, here's my positive, here's that big square in our video. I'm drawing with my big fat finger on a little tiny screen, so the quality isn't great, but something like that. And so one of the questions said, how many electrons am I going to need? Well, it's neutral, so I'm going to need 4 electrons to make that thing neutral. The next question would be, where do I find them? Well, the little electrons are going to be attracted to our positive up here. They're going to be attracted. So all my negatives are going to be shown 1, 2, 3, and 4 negatives across the top. So I can use this whiteboard to do any examples. I can click on the erase here and get rid of stuff. So I have that at my disposal. So hopefully everyone was seeing that. So an answer to one of our questions was, how many electrons? 4 in both picture. Where would I see them? Whatever this thing up here does to my negatives. Opposites attract. So I get a negative top and a positive bottom, even though it's still neutral. If I have a negative, there we go. I tried using a stylus on the screen for drawing and it wasn't any better. So I still need 4 negatives. They're going to be repelled by this big negative here. So I don't have room to put it with my fat finger there, so I'll put them right there. So I get my 4 negatives across the bottom. And so I have a positive top and a negative bottom. And in both of these cases, what do I know? I have check mark, check and check. Opposites really close together, attract. Check, check. Opposites really close together, attract, which means that these little bits of paper or whatever they are that are neutral will be attracted to the negative. Yes, there is a repulsion, check and check there, but those repulsive particles are a little bit farther away, which means the repulsion is weaker. So attraction wins. Negative and negative repel away, but they're farther away. So the repulsion is not as strong and attraction wins. So I have that little whiteboard here that I can use. Let's see. My other tools here include the following. I can also show you what's on my screen. So now you hopefully are all seeing the notes that we already had posted. So again, there's my picture there, so I can show where my negatives would go. So maybe not right now, unless we do have other questions, but in the future, if we have other questions, I've got, and now I should be back to me. I've got those tools at my disposal. Again, I can't draw as nicely as I can on the big board, but that's the way it goes. And obviously, as you know, I think I texted everybody, the building is on lockdown for everybody now, so we are not allowed in. So I can't use my big whiteboard for presenting. I can still do all the same stuff here on this laptop, but the big diagrams that I have and the files I have aren't going to be as nice, just because it's harder to work on this tiny little screen. So FYI for that. But yeah, that's where we stand with everything. So yeah, so like I said, we can be on here as long as we need to. So we have a topic where people are asking lots of questions. It's not just going to be a 15-minute window, but 15 minutes I figure is usually enough to at least get everyone logged in that window. And if at 9:15 no one has any questions, I see a lot of you still on here just kind of waiting around to see if someone has questions. That's good. So at 9:15, if no one has asked any questions, we'll just log out. And remember, you are welcome to join us for 4th and 5th hour. I post those to everybody. Join when you want, if you want, how you want. I don't know if how you want makes any sense, but does anyone? So let's do one last swing over to Google Classroom. Let's see if there's any questions posted. I see no questions posted there. I see nothing new on Remind. So having said all that, it's about 9:15. So can you answer the styrofoam question from the notes? Absolutely. So when I came by with my styrofoam, it was a huge, massive reaction that you could see. And we know that third law says that both of those things felt the same force. You saw the tape do this, but the same force was pushing the styrofoam, was just too heavy. And so what the difference was is that you had a piece of styrofoam that was this big, and so I was able to rub the entire surface of that with the fur. So instead of having one tiny strip of tape that has negatives on there, I had a big, huge place. So I had simply more minus signs. That's all it is. I had more space to put more negatives on there. Could I take that same amount of negatives and jam them all onto a piece of tape? Yeah, sure. It's physically possible, but I didn't have the tools to do that. So I could have made something else that could have been just as strong, but the styrofoam was simple. Big, I rubbed the entire thing with fur, which means that I had this big source of negatives. So simply more negatives. That's it. So imagine if I took like 30 pieces of tape, put them all on the table, and ripped off all 30 pieces of tape and held them all together and brought them in. Imagine what that would do to your single piece of tape. That's the same thing. So, so again, the answer to the styrofoam question would be there's just more. So the fact that it's bigger isn't the answer, but the fact that it's bigger allows it to hold more, which is the technical answer. So the size of the styrofoam helped hold more charge. Yeah. All right. So yeah, it's 9:15. Feel free to check in. Let's see, tomorrow, Wednesday is fourth hour, which means fourth hour. I think Mrs. Laura and I have worked out where I have the 1 o'clock slot. So if you have Mrs. Laura, you've got the noon hour, I think. But I will have the 1 o'clock slot. So join us Wednesday at 1 p.m. if you want, or join us on Friday, same time, 9 a.m. 8 a.m. seems a little bit early. So we'll do 9 a.m. on that day as well. So, so with that, I'm going to hang on here for about another minute if I see another question pop up. But otherwise, have a nice week. Enjoy the snow. And I guess that's everything. So hope everyone's doing okay. If you need anything, make sure you reach out. I'm doing just fine, and you know it stinks that we have to do all this. There's no sports, and there's no school, and there's nothing going on. But I'm all good. I'm 100% here, so I can help you out in some way, hopefully. But other than that, enjoy your time. And like I said, next week we will have a little bit more physics to do, just to make sure we're kind of keeping up with things. So. All right, so it's 9:17, so we will see you all later. Bye.